Today on Aging Untold, when memory fades, loved ones with Alzheimer's and dementia may start to get restless, even trying to slip out of the house.
Well, the brain is struggling to interpret the world and meet a need and to feel safe.
We explore what's known as wandering, why it happens, and how caregivers can respond with compassion and safety in mind. Plus, from disability pay to housing support, many of our veterans go without benefits that could make their lives easier.
Families need to know this. They need to know where they can go and how they can go and who to watch out for.
We're breaking down how they can claim what's rightfully theirs. Then, this super senior doesn't mince words.
What do you think keeps you young?
I'm not young. I look like a prune.
Coming up, we introduce you to a World War II survivor inspired to challenge herself and others.
Push it away, push it away, push it away.
Experts with advice and solutions. You're watching Aging Untold with Aging Well coach Catherine Ambrose, gerontologist Sam Craddock, aging expert Amy O'Rourke, and board-certified physician Dr. Ray Rogers. We're all getting older. It's about time we talked about it.
Welcome to Aging Untold. For so many families, wandering isn't just a medical term, but a lived experience. You've heard the stories before. Every evening, like clockwork, mom or dad who has dementia begins pacing the hallway. And if they're not closely watched, some find their way out of the house without warning. Let's talk about wandering and what makes this so concerning. So, Dr. Ray, what's going on mentally that leads to this?
Well, the brain is struggling to interpret the world and meet a need and to feel safe. There's many regions in the brain, there's some lobes, but one particular one is called the hippocampus. And that's part of the temporal lobe that helps us to remember, orient ourselves, and to know where we are in that time and place. And that's one of the first areas that gets hit with Alzheimer's dementia. So think of it like its own internal GPS. So the brain, when it gets overstimulated or there's fear or anxiety, it just can't explain the problem. So when people are wandering, they're trying to fill that need. They're trying to explain something. And so it can be dangerous because of falls, stimuli to the cold and outside and getting lost. But just remember, as a caretaker, try to figure out what that need is they're trying to fill. So are they in pain? Do they want to eat? To use the restroom? There's usually an underlying thing for why they're wandering.
Exactly, and I always tell caregivers that the feet are doing the talking. So sometimes your mouth can't verbalize, you can't come up with the words of what's going on. Maybe you can't say I'm hungry, maybe you can't say I need to go to the restroom or I'm in pain. So your feet are actually what's doing the talking for you. And a caregiver needs to anticipate what that need is well before the feet take off. You might not be able to write the word stop and have somebody understand that as the brain gets changed, but put a stop sign up on the door. That is a universal symbol that says stop. It's a red stop sign. Put it there. It will literally stop some of this process. There are so many things that we can do. And if they are going to wander, make sure you have a tracking device. And don't put a tracking device in their pants pocket. Put it on their shoes. People don't wander off without their shoes on usually.
I was remembering a client that was in a community that I worked in, and she had a suitcase in her room, and every day she wanted to go to Teaneck, New Jersey. She wanted to go home. So we took the suitcase out of the room, and she stopped doing that. It's like something so obvious. And then I was remembering another couple. The wife had Alzheimer's, and they called me for help, and I went out there to help. And he had done just what you were saying. Stop sign on the door, then he had right turn only, then a left turn only, and he was managing her wandering with just some really simple, this is back before any of the complicated technology was out here.
Right, and it's those visual cues. Lots of people get really caught up in, well, I'm going to write them notes, and I'm going to leave notes on cupboards, and I'm going to leave notes on doors. When was the last time you saw somebody with advanced dementia reading a newspaper? So the words aren't making sense anymore, but those symbols still do.
The Alzheimer's Association and Medical Alert, they combine to create a program that you can label them, and if they're found, they have a national database little bracelet. And so if someone finds them, all they need to do is get the information on the bracelet and they'll be able to find them no matter where they go in the country.
That's terrifying because you don't want them out. Because, I mean, that is like the most horrifying thing that can happen to a community, that they've let somebody's grandma or grandpa out. And it's really, really scary. And if you're still living at home, another symbol is that main caregiver, which oftentimes is the spouse, and the anchoring that occurs. And if that spouse isn't there, that caregiver isn't there, they're looking for them. So sometimes they're exit seeking, like, where did she go? That is very, very difficult to be anchored to. And there's so much guilt over leaving just for a quick appointment. And so that's really a very difficult thing with caregiving. And sometimes people don't want to let their loved one go to memory care or bring people in to help, but you really need it to protect yourself.
Right. And then have a plan when they do wander. What kind of support can you pull on? Do you have somebody that can find them? They have so many sophisticated apps now. I was talking to a woman yesterday and she was telling me about this watch, and they've got an app. And so anytime her dad goes somewhere he shouldn't, she gets a call. And then she can actually talk to her dad. So there's ways to, if it happens, keep yourself protected, and then you might be able to delay hiring expensive care before you need to.
I tell every family, have a safety file, have a current picture, have a safety file that's available if they get out, if you've lost them. And it happens. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. We've got 60% of most dementia patients will wander at least one time. So this is not an infrequent thing. So that safety file, you can hand that over to the authorities. They can get that out there. There are silver alerts now that let people know that there's someone out, and let your neighborhood know, because typically the wandering isn't very far. It does happen where there's occasions where it is, but typically they're not traveling 5 miles down the road.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is don't wait until it happens. You know, we know that these things are going to happen. So let's start planning in advance to come up with a strategy that's going to work for each family, because that's where you are the healthiest. So you stop all confusion, everybody's on the same page, and you know what's going to happen before a crisis.
Yeah. And one of the best things you can do is look for local people that can be great resources to help you with these tips as things go on.
Coming up, scammers use cutting-edge technology to terrorize a family.
She said, "Mom, I had an accident. I rear-ended somebody and they're taking me." And she was crying.
We break down the role artificial intelligence played in this kidnapping scheme. But first, benefits worth fighting for.
But what I'd want veterans and surviving spouses to know that they can get money to pay for care when they need it.
What you can do to make sure veterans get the help they need and deserve.
As Americans, we owe a great debt to the millions of men and women who serve or have served in our military. However, the financial and medical benefits set aside for their service often go unclaimed. Many veterans don't realize they have access to certain funds and services. And Sam and Amy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What type of benefits are going untapped?
The name of the benefit that I love is called Special Monthly Pension with Aid and Attendance. It is a non-service connected benefit. I mean, you don't have to have been injured in a war to get this benefit. And there's specific eligibility criteria. You have to have had 90 days active duty with only 1 day during a wartime, a declared wartime. You have to need care, meaning hands-on care, bathing, dressing, going to the bathroom, and you have to be paying for the care. So I've seen literally thousands and thousands of people over the course of my career use this benefit to pay for home care, use this benefit to pay for assisted living. There is an asset limit. It's over $160,000. It goes up every year. But what I'd want veterans and surviving spouses to know that they can get money to pay for care when they need it.
Right. I agree. I have to tell so many people about it, and especially our widows and widowers that are completely and totally unaware that their spouse served and they're now eligible for these benefits, and they're so helpful. I mean, we're talking about for a couple, you know, upwards to what, it's above 2,500 for the couple. I think it's a little over 2,000 for the veteran himself.
You know, I look at it, it's really one of the most underutilized services. And for us to breach this subject on this show is where I found out about this monthly pension that they add on to your VA pension. And I'm a veteran myself, and I had no clue. So I know you out there have no clue. And she's right. You don't have to be a combat veteran. There's some misconceptions when you look at it. You can just have served during wartime.
Exactly.
And then financially, people think I'm not going to qualify, but they take into account the medical care you're giving and your caregiving. So if people would take advantage of this in advance, it would maybe let people stay in their homes longer before a crisis comes.
You probably need to just really double check with knowledgeable people as to whether your service qualifies, because sometimes people are really surprised that their service does. And so the other thing I wanted to mention is the DD-214, the Certificate of Relief or
Discharge
release or
papers.
discharge.
Yeah.
Don't hide those. Like, make sure you have them and make sure that they're ready to be used. Don't have them locked away in the safety deposit box.
And I know Dr. Ray over here cringed when you said DD-214. It's like, it's DD-214. So I know she cringed, but that's okay. But yeah, having those forms. And then if you've also had previous marriages, those are actually having the divorce decrees and things, having your paperwork ready and available really helps a family member out. The DD-214, death certificates if you've lost a spouse, divorce decrees, and marriage certificates, all those things come into account. But once you've gathered the information, getting the process done and it's worth it.
I was thinking about this woman, she'd been married 7 times, and she got benefits on her 3rd husband.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Hey, you know,
Right.
whatever works.
Yeah.
Keep marrying them until you find something you can cash in on.
I love that we're saying make sure you're checking with multiple sources, and the veterans organizations are very helpful. They know exactly who to go to.
And they're free.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we'll have more tips when we come back on Aging Untold.
Still ahead, aging stronger.
You've got guns. I mean, your guns are way better than mine.
Well, do something about it.
We show you how this nearly 90-year-old woman inspires strength and resilience. But first, a mother's warning to save you from trauma. We'll go in depth on an AI scam that takes a familiar voice and uses it against you.
AI is here at work, at home, in your phone. But in the wrong hands, artificial intelligence can be used to scam and traumatize families. In some cases, criminals employ AI voice cloning technology to fool families into thinking their loved ones are in danger. Lauren Traeger is in St. Louis with one mom who says this scam cost her far more than her life savings. And we do want to warn you, what you're about to hear could be distressing for some.
Take your kids off your social media.
This local mom who asked we just call her Rachel wants to warn you.
They're not safe. If you've shared them on social media at all, even 2 words of their voice, they can be used for bad.
In August, her phone rang.
I saw my daughter was calling. It was her picture and her phone number.
And a voice that sounded just like her college-aged daughter.
She said, "Mom, I had an accident. I rear-ended somebody and they're taking me." And she was crying.
Just how convincing was the sound of her voice?
It's my child. I know my child's voice, and it sounded exactly like my child's voice that I've heard every day of my life.
A car accident and then a kidnapping. Rachel convinced her daughter was in extreme danger.
They would take her and do whatever they wanted for days as they leave the state, and I will find her body parts.
In fact, just listen for yourself. Rachel recorded the whole thing.
Because obviously you need to understand if you say something tomorrow, next week, whatever, there will be consequences. You understand me?
For nearly 2 hours, the man tells Rachel that she can save her daughter. Only by sending money.
I have $3,270 in my bank account.
Only when her real daughter started calling on the other line can you hear Rachel's real-time realization.
Oh my God, you're so busted.
With her daughter safe, she breaks down.
I thought I was never going to see you. I thought they were raping you. They told me they would kill you and I'd have to come find your body and body parts.
Violated. Traumatizing.
Robbed not just of her life savings, she says, but so much more.
Opened a whole nother level of fear for almost every day of my life since.
Rachel reported it all to several law enforcement agencies.
What have the authorities done for you?
0. Nothing.
She says she's been told it's an overseas cyber crime. Parents, she says, must beware or you could be next.
Wow, that's one of the most horrifying scam stories I've heard.
And it's really infuriating me because all I see that as my mom. My mom has no knowledge on IT. She probably wouldn't even think to, well, hold on, go call, it's infuriating.
Thank God her daughter called. Yeah. Thank God her daughter called. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing that stopped that. But I think any of us would fall for that. I think any of us in that moment, you hear that terrifying call from your child that's literally saying, this happened and they're taking me.
Right. It just took my breath away. And I was remembering years and years ago, I heard my dad on the phone giving his social security number to someone. That's like lame compared to this.
Oh, this stuff is crazy.
So how this works is they throw you into flight or fright.
Yep.
And so then you're not even able to think. What's happening in your brain when they do that to you, Dr. Ray?
You're just like you said, sympathetic nervous system. And when you're in fight or flight, you're not trying to stop and have reason.
Right. Your adrenaline takes over.
Yes, that's a calm state. So you're just survival mode, basically. No. So I think the lesson here is to know that this happens and you have to try to stop. It's hard because you're reacting, and we have to try to teach ourselves to and respond because we know this exists.
Right. Yeah. And the authorities do want to know. And so call your district attorney's office, call the Bureau of Investigation for your state. They do want to know. They may not be able to do much with these overseas hustle kingdoms, but they do want to know and they do care.
Up next, when you crack away her tough exterior,
Come on higher, let me see your kneecaps, please.
you'll find the heart of a survivor.
Mind over matter could be worse. I have seen too much destruction. I have seen too much misery.
An octogenarian uses fitness to tackle life's challenges.
A World War II survivor has covered a lot of miles in her more than 85 years of life. Her journey includes moving to the United States, raising a family, competitive running, and teaching aqua fitness. Deborah Alfarone is in Virginia and shows what inspires this woman to go the distance.
Up, out, in, crossover.
Ekris Williams is what you would call a tough cookie.
Come on higher, let me see your kneecaps, please.
The 86-year-old teaches water aerobics every Tuesday and Thursday.
Kick, kick, kick.
No matter what.
Push it away, push it away, push it away.
But it's not all she does.
Bring it up and push. Sundays I take a longer run now, maybe 5 or 6 miles. Mondays I go run in the pool. Tuesdays 4 workouts. Then I come and lift weights. And then on Wednesdays I go running. On Thursdays is a repeat of Tuesday.
Not every 86-year-old has that workout schedule.
That's their problem. And flip!
But her fitness journey started with running. Ekris survived World War II. Her parents didn't. A former German Olympian inspired her to put one foot in front of the other. She's been doing it ever since. She did stop long enough to meet her husband, move to the U.S., and raise her children. You may think her good health is just luck.
What is it that keeps you going?
Well, I have to exercise. I have to keep the cardio up. I have a congenital heart defect. I was a preemie. My mother kicked me out and never finished me. The doctors always said, keep going. So I said, okay.
The CDC says working out after age 65 can reduce the risk of developing dementia, heart disease, certain types of cancers, and stroke. It's what brings Ekris' students to her class at World Gate Athletic Club.
Good core work. Helps my knees.
What's your advice to people who say, well, I don't know, my arm hurts, or I don't know, my knee hurts?
Mind over matter, it could be worse. I have seen too much destruction. I have seen too much misery. Don't lie down and say, oh, what's gonna happen? Get up and say, thank you, dear God. Every day, thank God for the day.
Lots of studies say exercise keeps your mind sharp. For Ekris, it might help keep her wit sharp too.
What do you think keeps you young?
I'm not young. I look like a prune. I ran past the window at the Giant and I looked, I thought there was somebody behind me. It was my skin flopping.
You've got guns. I mean, your guns are way better than mine.
Well, do something about it.
She admits she's tough, but her students like it.
And lunge it.
That was inspiring. And, you know, she gets people motivated because she has so much passion. And what kind of excuse could you possibly give her, right?
You can't give her. Did you see the different ages in the class?
Absolutely.
And she's working them out. She's spunky. This is my new career. This is what I'm going to do.
I put that woman in my pocket. I mean, when she looked at her and said, well, do something about it.
That's what we all need, right?
When she said she runs 5 and 6 miles, I'm like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
So what excuse?
I think people do not realize there is a growth factor that's called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. You increase that to decrease dementia and increase cognition.
Yeah.
And the main way you increase it is by exercise. Exercise will increase it about 200%. Yeah. It's like fertilizer for the brain.
Okay.
Oh, that's so
Because she
good to
said
hear.
that. She said exercise keeps your brain strong.
She's just that image to me of when people say, we fall down, but we get up.
We get up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Thanks for getting up here and being with us for Aging Untold. We'll see you next time.
On the next Aging Untold, a taboo topic comes front and center for an important discussion.
He sat me down and he asked me to find him someone he could have sex with.
Yeah, we're going there. What sex is really like as we get older.